Good day, everyone. Welcome to Virtual Concert Halls, presenting concerts from around the world. Today, we're presenting Sound Espressivo Competition, which is a new generation of classical music competition. It offers contestants to perform in live broadcasts from their own location anywhere in the world. Sound Espressivo panel of 40 international judges represents top performing artists and music educators from around the globe. Sound Espressivo offers an unprecedented array of awards for musicians from 17 music managers, conservatories, music festivals, summer programs, music promotion and music education companies, from audio, video, and web designers. Today we'll be presenting a concert by two first-place winners who charmed the audience and judges alike last December. The competition was held in December 2020. Both Avagail Hulbert and Chris Carlong won in the artistic category as Ambassador of Music. Both artists of today's program generously added one more composition to the program which was announced previously. It'll be a pleasant surprise to our viewers and audience. Now, I would like to ask our viewers, our audience, to please comment, put questions in the comments. We will bring those on screen after each of the artists finishes their presentation so that the performers can see your comments and respond. It's a great way to connect with young artists on stage and a wonderful way to communicate to them your appreciation that we are watched, we are needed, and we're greatly appreciated by our audience. We know that, but we would like to see and hear from you that it is truly so. And also, please stay tuned for more announcements during this program. We'll be announcing more upcoming concerts by laureates and winners of the Sound Espressivo Competition 2020. And we also have a few small announcements to make about the upcoming auditions, preliminary auditions for the Sound Espressivo 2021. And now I would like to welcome on stage violinist from Maryland, United States, Avagail Hulbert.
Hello, my name is Avagail Hulbert, and I will be playing Vieuxtemps Concerto No. 5. I'm going to give you guys a little history about this concerto. This was actually written for Vieuxtemps's good friend, Hubert Leonard, and he was a professor at Brussels Conservatory. He was getting his students prepared for Brussels Conservatory competition, and so he asked for a piece to test his advanced students' technical capabilities. So Vieuxtemps wrote this as an advanced students piece, but now it's made its way into mainstream repertoire and has actually surpassed his fourth concerto in popularity. The second piece I will be playing is Mozart Adagio in E major. I'm also going to give a little history for this piece. So Mozart wrote this piece as a replacement for the second movement of his fifth concerto. And he wrote this piece because Brunetti, a violinist who also worked for the Archbishop of Salzburg, had very similar tastes to the Archbishop in music. They both preferred the Italian style, which is a much less serious style of music. And he thought that Mozart's second movement was way too serious. So Mozart ended up writing this as a replacement.
Thank you, Avagail. What a wonderful performance! So grateful to hear you again on the virtual stage of the South Espressivo competition. If you would mind, I would like to ask you maybe a couple of questions. Thank you
Sure.
for returning on stage. It's been a few months, but it seems like an eternity since we heard your beautiful playing in the competition and you wowed the audience, the judges, and the organizers. Please fill us in. We're big fans of you. We would like to follow you and know what's happening. And as you can see, there are some comments also coming to you. Fill us in,
Oh,
please, with what's happening. Yeah.
sure. So right now I'm getting ready to record a recital. I have been working on, as you heard, the Vieuxtemps, Mozart, Bach Fugue, and then also Paganini 5. So I'm planning on recording this by the end of April, beginning of May, and that's been my big project since virtual concert halls.
That's a huge project. Ooh, so you preparing it for some presentation or just so you have a conclusion for your plans? What is the purpose of recording?
Well, I tend to get nervous, and it's more like just proving to myself that I can put together a whole entire program, memorize it, and play that whole recital for people.
Oh, you absolutely can.
Yeah.
You're the only person who has doubts about it, I'm sure. So what's coming up in your plans for the upcoming summer and the next fall?
Um, I'm going to be getting prepared for going into like auditions for music colleges. So I'm pretty sure this summer I'm going to be just working a lot with my teacher and meeting a lot of other teachers to try to get a better sense of where I want to go and a better sense of who the teachers are.
And would you please introduce your teacher to everyone?
Yes, my teacher is Elizabeth Fadley, and she is with Manhattan School of Music Preparatory, and she also has her own studio.
And you are in Maryland, in Washington, D.C. area, is that right?
We're in Baltimore, Maryland.
In Baltimore, Maryland. So you go to New York for your lessons with your teacher?
Yes.
Oh, that's wonderful. And would you please introduce your wonderful accompanist?
Yes. This is Wan-Chi Su.
Welcome. It's such a great pleasure to have you. What a great collaboration and wonderful support for Avagail and her both concertos she was playing. Thank you very much for stepping in and being on our program today. Great pleasure to hear
Thank
you.
you. Wonderful to be here.
And Avagail, I loved your introduction, and it's so interesting that you brought up the fact that the second movement was a replacement. And we all tend to think that people like Mozart knew better than everybody else what to do with their pieces, but they were great because they were listening to critics. Isn't that right?
Yeah. I think my understanding of it was more he did not like Brunetti at all, but then since he was working under that archbishop, he felt like he was obligated to do it since the archbishop had a similar music taste.
And he made the most out of that advice. So he made both great piece,
Yeah.
a masterpiece, and a career, and maybe got paid even, right? Yeah, isn't that a good advice to all living musicians too? Avagail, you and Chris, who is going to be on our program in just a few minutes, both won in a very unusual category of the competition, Ambassador of Music. When we created the category, we were not even sure if anyone will be willing to apply for that, but you did. And so I'd like to hear what that means to you and if you're planning in pursuing further in your role as a music ambassador.
Well, what it means to me is that I can share with the audience a story about music. And I think I kind of did that in today's performance. I gave a little bit of the history of it. And to me, the interpretation of music is like what the composer had in the history of it. So basically, I'm acting as like a little muse for the music and bringing out the history and the background of the music when I'm playing it.
And you certainly did. And it certainly, I agree with you, it helps deeper understanding and more involvement when listening, because the stories you brought about each of the pieces, they make the context of the pieces more alive to audience. I really appreciate you did that. And thank you, Avagail, very much. And if you don't mind, please stand by for Chris's performance. And after Chris performs and I ask him a couple of questions, I would like to bring both of you on stage so you can maybe address the audience with a little concluding message. Would that be okay?
Yes, that'd be wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Avagail. And we'll be moving on to our second performer of today, also the first place winner of Sound Espressivo Competition 2020, who performed very successful programs in December of 2020, just a few months ago. And we'll be introducing on stage Chris Long, pianist from Australia. And mind you, of course, he is tuning in and connected to us in real time. And I believe it's really early in the morning for Australia. So I would really, really appreciate the sacrifices Chris made in order to be able to perform on this program. Welcome on stage, Chris Long from Australia.
Good morning from Sydney, Australia. It is quite early, but I'm very happy to wake up the neighbors and my family with some Schubert and Rachmaninoff today. I'm going to do something in line with the prize I won, which is the Music Ambassador Prize, and that is to bring the music to you and make it more relevant. Of course, I'm going to play, but I also will talk a lot about the pieces to make it relevant, hopefully, and also to give it some context, as Dr. Anna was saying. And I think we'll talk a little bit more about this later, but there is so much value, so much beauty in this music, and because it's invisible and intangible, sometimes it just passes us by without us really realizing what's happening. And so I'm going to introduce the first piece, which is a Schubert Impromptu, the first in his D935 set. This was written in December 1827. Now, December 1827 is the same year Beethoven died. Beethoven, I think, passed away in March, and Schubert was absolutely distraught when Beethoven passed away. I think it inspired him to write some of his most incredible long-length pieces, but it also really, really troubled him. He passed away in 1828, the year after, so there's not much, there's a lot he wrote in that year, and I think he just loved Beethoven so much that it was hard for him to kind of keep living on. And so what I love about Schubert's music is that it's so narrative, there's so much poetic language, and it's filled with storytelling. The thing I really admire about Schubert is that he doesn't seem to make it about himself. When he writes music, it's about the story, about the image, about something more, and this sort of humility when it comes to composition, I think, is just extraordinary, because we as interpreters become the vessel for a bigger story, you know, a bigger image, and something that really relates and is relevant for us. So the story behind this is, I imagine it to be something like a tragedy happens in the beginning, some sort of foreboding tragedy. You can say it's Beethoven's death, you can say it's the loss of a loved one, whatever tragedy it is. And that's how this A section, there's three sections, A, B, and C. A section starts, and I'll play a little bit just to give a bit of context. It starts off with this. And already you know something's afoot. There's a lot going on. And he goes through a lot of wrestling, struggling with this idea of loss, and he's trying to deal with it. And eventually he lands on section B, which is this amazing dreamlike session. And it's just like everything's okay. It's when you maybe you're sick and you're struggling, and then you just pass out into this feverish dream, and that's what it is. And section C soon comes by, and it's incredible. It's like he's talking with the angels, and there's he's dialoguing. There's the higher voice, maybe. Perhaps he's having a conversation with fate, or conversation with the judge, at the end of time, and he's wrestling with it. And just as you feel like there's a reconciliation, section A comes back, and then B, and then C, and so you go through this whole thing all over again. And so it's A B C, and then just as you think it's going to end on F major, in the last section C, Schubert brings back section A, and there's something incredibly crushing about the fatalistic, inescapable return of this tragedy. And if you want to compare, Beethoven and Schubert, Beethoven sometimes, most of the time, would end triumphantly, victoriously, as though, he'll struggle until the end and he'll come out on top. But Schubert, there's a sort of resignation, and I think all of this just gives an insight to him as a composer, but also just the kind of mindset and state of mind that he's in, and it's just wonderful, wonderful. All right, without further ado, I'm going to start. They're just amazing music. There's so many facets of the human condition. Truly amazing. The next piece I'll play will be, by Rachmaninoff. The next two pieces, in fact. The first of which is an Etude-Tableaux written in 1917. This is a year that's very tumultuous worldwide. We're in the third year of the First World War. We're the same year of the Russian October Revolution, where the Bolsheviks, along with Vladimir Lenin, seized power. A lot of political turmoil. Rachmaninoff was embroiled in all that, and although he sent his family away as soon as the revolution happened, he was still there writing, finishing up some business before he himself left. And I think a lot of that kind of energy enters the piece. I won't ever really know for sure whether this piece was written about a revolution, but there's a lot of that spirit in it, especially in the beginning, where you have this very strong and you feel like there's a sense of change and transformation that's about to occur, and it's just wonderful. And you have this the different ecstasies that come with, you know, the idea of change, the idea that change is possible and there's hope for the future, perhaps. And for all its bravura, what's incredible is that Rachmaninoff ends the piece with a lot of doubt. There's a lot of reservation behind it. And the ending literally sounds as though he's kind of writing ... question mark. There's a lot of uncertainty. There's no definite answer. You know, you think that it's the bravura of not only the beginning, but in the return of the kind of beginning section, that there's going to be a triumphant end. There's something great that's going to happen. And of course, there's a lot of Rachmaninoff pieces which end with this big sound and triumphant ending. But not this one. Not this piece. So, yeah, please enjoy, and I hope you can tell me what you think about it. And the final piece that I will play is also by Rachmaninoff, but written earlier. This was written between 1901 1903, and he had just gotten over, well, not gotten over, you can't really get over it, but he was being more productive, writing more. This is 3 to 4 years after he wrote the second piano concerto, so he's recovering from his kind of depression state. And this prelude, there's no hint that anything bad has really happened. Perhaps he got married and had his first child, and there's a feeling of hope, of wonder, and of course love. Not so much in the romantic sense. I see this as his dedication to his daughter, or familial love. It's an unconditional love, and my teacher always says that the piece kind of ends within the first 2 pages, and there's 2 more pages of just a long coda, and it's like he doesn't want to let go. You know, he loves this so much, this moment, this being and this person in his life, and doesn't want to let go. So we just keep going and keep playing on until, I guess, all right, we'll just end it with a flourish at the end, some sort of beautiful way to just tie it up, and it's just a beautiful way to end a concert too, on a really beautiful note. So I hope you enjoy, and yeah, it's one of my most favorite pieces to perform. So.
Bravo, bravo. Thank you so much, Chris. What a joy to hear you both perform. Of course, that's my love number one, and you speak also. That's a great pleasure. And what time is it in Australia? I'm just curious.
It's almost 6 a.m. It's almost 6.
Oh my goodness, you can perform on stage, all dressed up, already in your prime at 5-ish in the morning.
I don't know about in my prime, but you know, it's this world we live in now. You know, we gotta adapt, and more than happy to. You know, the fact that I get to perform and play music for an international stage is just amazing. So I'm more than happy to do it.
Wonderful. And just like with Avagail, it seems like it's been ages since we heard you perform large, comprehensive programs at all of the rounds of the Sound Espressivo competition in December. What's been happening? Let us know.
Wow. I've been organizing some concerts here. In Australia, we're doing quite well with the COVID pandemic. In fact, recently we found out, you know, clubs are open again. Everything, you know, gatherings. There's no limitations anymore. There's no way you can wear masks if you want, and there's still hand sanitizer and there's still check-in, but everything's open. So I've been able to do concerts, and I've been organizing my own charity concerts. I have, from the age of 13, 14, rheumatoid arthritis, and so I decided to want to raise some money for arthritis in South Wales, which is the state I'm in, and just raise awareness of this disease that, you know, and most importantly, that even if you have this chronic disease, we have, with technology and medical advancements, ability for me to keep playing, you know, and this is an incredible thing. Yeah, it's an incredible thing, and I want to inspire people, you know, of a young and old age that, you know, you can still do it, you know, still get on there. Don't stop playing if you really like to play, or don't stop moving if you're into that. So. And
you got applause from the audience.
Oh, that's nice.
Bravo.
Thank you, Georgia. So lovely. Oh. That's so nice. Thanks. So that's what I've been doing. I've been trying to organize some concerts, and as a result, trying to get. So I've already done 2, which actually went really well. We've raised over $4,000 already, and so just trying about getting more venues to raise more money. Thank you. Yeah, people have been very generous, even in the pandemic, and so I've been trying to just get different venues and just try and see what works. And another thing, briefly, that I'm doing with these charity concerts is really talking to the audience, like doing what I did just now, and really engaging, telling them about different sections, telling, in fact, with different pieces, I tell them what moments to listen for, what, especially in Debussy, like what are these colors, what does it mean, and, you know, what does it all mean? And it's so invisible, intangible, and we're such visual creatures these days. So if you don't bridge that gap, everyone's just watching me move my fingers, and I don't want that. I mean, that's not what it's about, you know, it's really not what it's about. It's about, you know, sitting there and hearing art and letting it affect you, really letting it take you on a journey, and so you feel like a better person afterwards, or you feel like you felt something. And that's the most powerful, that's what's going to get my friends and fans to come back to listen, you know? That's what's going to get them to look up these pieces on Spotify or YouTube and want to listen to more Schubert and Rachmaninoff. And that's, I mean, this goes on to what I'm really passionate about, and it's worked. It's really worked. And so that's, in brief, what I've been doing.
Wonderful. And again, I wanted to ask you, you're one of few people who made it through all the 3 rounds of the competition in a very demanding and unusual artistic category as an ambassador of music. And or just briefly, I already understand from what you described how you combine the role of a piano player as a, you know, as a performer on stage who just communicates through playing with the fingers on the keyboard, and bringing more of a context and more of a connection. But still, if you can maybe briefly describe why did you decide that was the category for you, and what do you see it means to you?
Absolutely. So there are many people who are forging their own careers now, and you have artists like Jeremy Dank, who won some awards, but then started writing a blog as a way to get the arts out there, talk about it. And there are loads of people who are doing YouTube, and as a way to get people, and it's more than just getting more fans and an audience. It's about really finding your voice, your strengths. And I like to talk about the music. I want to show, like, you know, when you go to an art gallery or museum and you love this art and you want to share this with people, there has to be a way to bridge that gap. And so how do you bridge it? And I think I'm developing a more presentational way to address the audience. I mean, I always used to talk before I play anyways, but it was never quite scripted. I just sort of, wing it. But now I'm like, no, I'm going to actually write down points, not so much because I don't know what I'm going to say, but because I can structure it and I can be more present with the words I use, and in this way, make it better for the audience. I'm always thinking about what the audience needs, wants, and what will make it relevant for them. You know, because otherwise we're just playing, and there's a gap, and I don't think that's the way in which we can get fans. I don't think that's the way we can grow a fan base. And so that whenever you have a CD out, people will buy it because they so care about what you do and they like you for who you are. And that's what I'm kind of developing. I realize that's, as a music ambassador, I mean, playing the piano for someone is, in a way, being an ambassador of the music of the past. So how do we heighten this? How do we make this accentuated in our society so that people will appreciate the music we play? You know, we were so used to listening to 3 to 4 minute pieces of music, but what about 12 minutes? What about an hour long? How do you bridge that gap? And I think by talking about it, by showing examples, and the thing that I love is that that's how we were taught. You know, our teachers were ambassadors of this music for us. You have these great, Leon Fleischer, all these great master classes, and they sit down at the piano and they show you what the music's about. They'll play little excerpts and say, this is what's happening. And then they'll show you a little moment, right? And then you're like, oh, that's what it means.
I agree with you completely. That opens more depth and gets more engagement. And that's how, I don't know how about you, but it seems to me that we had a similar path. That's how I fell in love with music. Not just by playing or hearing, but by engaging with the people who created that music through the stories which others conveyed to me, and the rest of the context which surrounded, because it's in another language and it conveys more than just the sounds and conveys a lot of the story behind. And spoken word can be very supportive of that. I agree with you completely.
It's so powerful, and you talk about language, and that's so relevant. Like in German, Liebe, as opposed to our English, love. And in Russian, it's everyone has a different way of saying just a very simple word, and it's in the music. And so how do we bridge that gap? How do we always get closer to it and make it just as meaningful as the composer intended, and maybe even more, right? And
Yeah.
I'm really passionate about that. I feel like that's what's going to make people want to listen to what we do.
And it'll make their experience a lot more rich.
Exactly.
Because that opens up other horizons which are in the music but not immediately apparent. So you're opening the doors to more depth. I agree with you. That's a great path. And that is what the ambassador of music is. Wonderful. I would like to bring Avagail back on stage.
Good.
And have both of you here. Avagail, welcome back. It's wonderful to have both of you here. And as ambassadors of music, you truly are bringing so much more, and I hope very much that you will continue on that path, because this is so important to bring more young people, and not only young people, everyone who can benefit from the enrichment of a musical experience. As ambassadors of music, you really are doing that, and it's such a pleasure to see you do that. So I want to give you an opportunity to address our audience with kind of somewhat like a concluding message. Don't feel overly responsible for what you're going to say, but I am going to bring up a bit of a scenario. You're at the beginning of your career, and you earned this great prize from the Sound Espressivo Competition. It is not a Grammy Award yet, but who knows, maybe it's a building block and step towards that. Just imagine you won the Grammy Award, and you get that moment on stage to speak. Of course, you thank all of your parents and friends and supporters, and then everybody is expecting that you're going to say something very important. What would be on your mind to convey to the rest of the world at that moment? Who wants to go first? I know I put you in the hot spot, right? Like that.
I think Abigail played first, so I think she should.
Okay, I can go first.
Okay, Abigail.
I hope that my performance has brought some enlightenment to you all, that you guys were able to feel what the history is behind this music, that you guys were able to follow along with it, and feel it as being more than just notes. I think Chris talked about it a little bit. I don't want you to feel like I'm just playing it and it's just a bunch of notes and it's just metal and wood and bow hair. I want you to feel like this piece is actually a story.
Wonderful. The story is your motto. Okay, Chris, you ready? Your turn.
Yeah. First of all, I want to thank everyone for your support, whoever's listening out there. This is incredible to me that people are listening to what I do. I'm so proud of this music. I'm so happy that I get to share it. And I hope that the reason I do this is because I feel like this music encapsulates our human existence, our human condition. And I think the more we're able to get close to this art, the more we're able to really feel and to be able to be connected and not be distracted, but to really center ourselves into who we are. And that's really important. I think in this world where there's so much tragedy, so much going on, it's very easy to get distracted by commercial material goods and all these things. But this is where it's at. This is where it gets to our hearts, and we have emotions of tragedy, ecstasy, joy, and struggle, passion. These are all things we feel, and the more we're able to allow ourselves to feel it through the music or through art, through whatever it is, through stories and literature, the more we're able to connect to our human existence. And I think that's really important. And so thank you for your support. I hope that that's what you can get out of that.
Thank you very much, both of you. And just a few words to each other, and we'll conclude the program with that.
Hey, Avagail, I loved your program. Beautiful playing. I hope to play with you someday, or at least hear you live.
Yeah, I loved your performance, and I loved how you described each of the sections of the piece. It was really beautiful.
Thank you. And Dr. Anna, you're amazing. Thank you for your passion. No, seriously, your dedication to the competition, to Virtual Concert Hall, Nifrana and Igor, everyone behind the scenes. It's just amazing that you're able to allow us to do what we want to do. That's really important for us, and I love it. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And I hope this would be maybe a start of an experiment someday, even though you're thousands of miles apart, the world has shrunk. So I hope to hear you both play maybe a duet at some point.
That would be amazing. Yeah.
Yes.
I would love that.
Yeah.
We can contact.
Yeah. Well, Instagram connects us all, right? And the social media connects us all. Lovely.
So does music.
Absolutely, yes, of course.
Okay, well, thank you so much for being who you are, for being young musicians, for being so passionate about music, and for participating in the competition, and coming aboard and being with us. And we hope to continue to be your fans and follow your progress. Please stay in touch, and we hope to present you again on the virtual stage.
Thank you, Dr. Anna. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Bye, y'all. And I would like to thank our viewers and our support group, the Virtual Concert Hall's musicians who are doubling in their careers also as supporters of this stage, and the hands of our technical director, Fran Irisinovich, and the hands of our director of the program, Igor Zubkovsky, are behind the scenes of this virtual stage and making it possible for us musicians to perform live to the audience of the world through the internet. And thank you all for joining. Hope to see you again soon at the next concerts, and I'm going to make a few announcements about what's coming up. So we have more concerts of the winners and the laureates coming up. On April 10th, we'll have a laureate recital by Mio Imai, one of the youngest laureates of the Sound Espressivo competition. Followed on April 11th, the laureate recital by Saman Yao, pianist, also one of the very young winners and laureates of this competition. And then the following weekend, on April 17th at 2 p.m., laureates recital by Ryan Huang, who is in Canada, fabulous young Canadian pianist. And by the way, all of those concerts start at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Nowadays it's called Eastern Daylight Savings Time, 2 p.m. on East Coast, New York time. And the final concert of this series of the Sound Espressivo laureates and winners will be on April 18th, given by a fabulous cellist from California, Mir Cardan. And now a couple of more announcements of the upcoming Sound Espressivo Competition 2021. Here you can see all the instructions, and as you can see now, you can choose your date for the audition. Every month, one weekend of the month, we will have auditions, and those will be live through the broadcast. As you can see in the column choose, you can choose live performance, or you can submit pre-recorded video, and you can choose competitive or non-competitive category, and if you choose to be competitive, you will be considered for the Sound Espressivo competition semi-final and final rounds in December 2021. And there are age groups, and there's some additions to the instrumental possibilities. All the usual instruments are still present, and we brought in Baroque instruments. We feel this group of musicians who are dedicated to the Baroque style period and period, and the instruments are underrepresented in the current scene in concerts and especially in the competitions. So we would like to encourage them to participate in the Sound Espressivo competition. There will be also chamber groups and ensembles, and there is two more editions. We invite dancers to participate and those who perform on traditional instruments. And now I'm going to show a couple of more slides describing the competition. Here is the announcement, Sound Espressivo Global Competition 2021. You can find it on our website, www.soundespressivocompetition.com. And please visit also our page with the upcoming events, and here you can find the upcoming laureates and winners concerts, and please click on those and go to the page where you can see the program, the announcements, and also you have an opportunity to support the young musicians in their endeavors. We would really appreciate very much your support, and any funds you extend to us will be directed to the young performers to help them with their progress, study, and growth. And with that, I would like again to thank our co-founders and the technical crew of the virtual concert halls for making it possible to bring these concerts to you. I'm looking forward to seeing you again soon. Thank you. Bye.
No matter where you are or who you are, music connects us all. We started with a dream, but now we are paving the future. Welcome to the Sound Espressivo Global Competition. Fully virtual, yet bringing musicians closer together than ever before, now on a global scale. True live, inclusivity, diversity, connection, community, an extraordinary array of judges. Get noticed by companies all over the world. Prizes, scholarships, performance opportunities. Apply to be a part of the most exciting congregation of artists like nothing you've ever seen before. We guarantee quality and leave no musician behind. We can't wait to hear you on the virtual stage.